Hello, welcome everybody. Welcome to MS Views and News. I'm going to give us a few minutes before we start our MS Neuro TV webinar. We've got a lot of people registered tonight and I see you all logging on. So I'm going to wait before we get started and make sure everybody gets everything set up before we begin. But we're really excited to have everyone join us tonight. We've got a lot of new people joining us tonight, which we're super excited to see. As you guys get yourself situated and you're all on board, I wanted to introduce myself. My name's Jennifer Faulk. I'm the Director of Development over at MS Views and News. And tonight we're here with Bill Shanley, our Productions Manager.
Hey, how you doing? Good to be here.
Great, welcome. And I also really want to give special welcome to Damian Washington, who has joined MS Views and News. He's going to be working with us as an assistant programs coordinator, and we're really happy to have him. Welcome, Damian.
Hey, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Jen, and thank you everyone for joining. I am a guy with MS and here to learn and be as big of a contribution to the community as I can. So thank you, Jen.
Oh, absolutely. We're so happy to have you join us, and this is going to be a great night. Tonight we're talking with Mindy Eisenberg, and we're going to be talking about relaxation and meditation and stress management. You know, we're coming into 2020, and this is a really good topic to kind of start us off. I think this is so important. Everyone living with MS, everyone living with a chronic disease, or anyone just kind of living is going to need to learn how to manage stress and develop the tools that are necessary to really do that, and Mindy's going to really show us some cool techniques tonight. So we're really excited. We have so many new people joining us tonight. Thank you for registering. Thank you for joining us. Just to give you a little bit of info about MS Views and News, we are a nonprofit organization dedicated to providing education, information, and resources to the multiple sclerosis community. And that's what we do. I do want to take a moment to thank our sponsors and our supporters of MS Neuro TV, Sanofi Genzyme, Novartis, and Celgene, and of course, viewers like you all out in the audience, and you guys make all of these programs possible. We're so happy that you're here with us tonight. And so I would like to give you all a little bit of information about our special guest tonight, about Mindy Eisenberg. Mindy Eisenberg has been a student of yoga for over 25 years and is a certified yoga therapist and qualified mindfulness-based stress reduction teacher. Mindy is the founder and director of Yoga Moves MS, and she serves those who are living with MS and mobility challenges through the provision of yoga therapy for over a decade. Mindy has been on a quest for over 14 years to improve and to maintain the quality of life for individuals impacted by MS. Her inspiration is ignited every time she sees her students light up from the tiny miracles that happen in the yoga room. Mindy's playful, creative, and healing approach focuses on adaptive yoga for each individual. At the urging of her students, Mindy is the author of Adaptive Yoga Moves Any Body, which was created for individuals with MS. Mindy presents nationally to yoga instructors and therapists and to the MS community. Her mission is to build a supportive Yoga Moves MS network throughout the country. And Mindy holds a master's in health services administration from the University of Michigan and was a healthcare administrator at the University of Michigan Medical Center for over 7 years, which helps her build relationships with professionals and clinicians in the field of neurology. So this is what's going to happen tonight. Mindy and I did a pre-recorded interview, and we're going to start by playing that. So you will see this interview, and then for anyone who is on the line, on a telephone line, unfortunately, you will not be able to hear that interview. So you'll only be able to see it if you're logged onto your computer. The interview lasts about 13 minutes. And once that's over, Mindy and I and Damian will be back on to answer your questions. Any questions that pop up for you as Mindy's speaking. You can type into the question box that I hope you guys can see. It's either in the corner of your screen, top right or left. You hit an orange button and the question box should become available to you, and you can type away. No one can see your questions except me, but I will relay as many questions as I can to Mindy so we can get a lot of information across tonight. So let's get started. We'll play that video now.
Welcome to MS Neuro TV, presented by MS Views and News. MS Neuro TV is a comprehensive educational program bringing together MS professionals from across the United States covering the topics that you want to learn more about. To register for MS Neuro TV webinars, visit www.msviewsandnews.org. Thank you. We hope you enjoy the program. What is a yoga breath?
So the difference with a yoga breath is that we're looking for a complete breath. Some people refer to it as a three-part breath, where it's diaphragmatic breathing. And the difference is we want, when we're practicing yoga, to exhale out through the nose if possible, unless, of course, the practitioner has a stuffy nose. So they're exhaling out through the nose and inhaling through the nose. And what we find is that relaxes the nervous system, which is one of the reasons it's so beneficial for people with MS. It triggers the sympathetic nervous system, which relaxes and calms people, and they feel more balanced.
Why is breath so important? How can focusing on breath help people living with multiple sclerosis?
So focusing on the breath calms the nervous system, and it's something everybody does. My teacher, John Kabat-Zinn, says, as long as you're breathing, there's more right with you than wrong with you. We all breathe, and we can use it as a focal point. So almost every type of meditation has breath awareness, either in the foreground or the background.
Mindfulness has become very popular. You hear it in the store, you see it on t-shirts. Is it a fad? Can you explain why mindfulness is so important?
So mindfulness, indeed, you can't go anywhere or see it. Magazines have it. It's very much a popular in word, but it's really not a fad. It's been around for a long time. It actually, historically, is from Buddhism. But mindfulness in this country has become more of a not associated with a culture or a religion. That's kind of been taken out of it. And what it means is to be present, the intention to draw awareness in the present moment. And the other concepts that go very close to it are with loving kindness, without judgment, since we all tend to judge ourselves, and to have this inquisitive or beginner's mind, like something simple, like you've never done it before, like you've never taken a breath before.
Are mindfulness and meditation the same thing?
So there's different mindfulness practices, and the most traditional is meditation. But there's mindful, or what we might call generous listening. And there's mindful walking. And there's mindful eating. So there's many different practices that bring the concepts of mindfulness within.
Can you take us through a brief meditation?
Sure. We say that you can take a pause. People are often fearful of meditation because they feel they can't sit. But it can be a brief pause, and people can start with 1 minute to 3 minutes. And so we actually call it like the 3-minute pause. And the focus, we'll call this a nice, easy breath awareness or awareness of breathing meditation. So our listeners can just kind of softly close their eyes if they choose to, or they can have what we call a soft gaze and turn inward and notice the fact that you're breathing. And you don't need to change the breath in any way. There's not a good or a bad. We just notice the sensation of breathing. And so you might hear the breath, and you might notice that you feel the breath in an area of your body, such as the belly as it inflates on the inhale and descends softly on the exhale. Or you might notice the air coming in and out through the nose. And so we use this as a focal point. And yes, the mind will wander. It will go from thought to thought. And so the key is when we notice that our mind wavered and went to a thought, we just gently bring it back to the breath.
Many say that they're too busy doing other activities during the day. What's your response when it comes to mindfulness? How do we balance all that we're doing in life and incorporate mindfulness into daily life?
So the idea behind mindfulness is it actually improves our quality of life. And it can become a routine, just like brushing our teeth. I usually recommend to people who want to embark on a practice to do it in the morning when the day's still quiet, and to just start for just a few minutes, and they can build up over time. What I noticed is that after I was practicing for a few months, that the days that I meditated were just a little bit smoother. And what we're hoping for over time is to respond rather than to react. And so the value in just being and the appreciation for the present moment becomes so much more great that actually we really don't have a choice. It increases the joy in life.
Do you have a favorite breath practice that you recommend for people who are living with multiple sclerosis?
So often people living with multiple sclerosis are concerned about balance. And one of the breaths that's most studied is a breath called alternate nostril breathing that helps to balance the right and left hemispheres of the brain. And so we can practice this breath for just a few. I'm going to take you through it. So we bring our thumb to our right nostril, and this is for if you're right-handed, so you have to reverse it if you're left-handed. So thumb on the right nostril and ring finger on the left nostril, and it's not really a pushing, it's more of a touching and gently pressing in. And then we take a nice inhale in and exhale out. And then we gently press the right nostril in and breathe in through the left nostril, close it with the ring finger, and exhale out through the right. And then we inhale in through the right, close the right, and exhale out through the left. So you can see how this is alternating. And it's really nice to do before a meditation, or perhaps if you're focusing on balance for the day, or you can match it together with a yoga practice that's you're focusing on balance.
How many minutes or repetition do you recommend doing this practice?
So in a class, we might do it for a few minutes, I always generally use the guideline of 3 to 5 minutes, or maybe 10 to 20 repetitions, and everybody's length of their breath is different. Someone's inhale might be 3 or 4 counts, another's might be 4 to 6, or even 8. So the repetitions, maybe 10 to 20, would be a nice place to start.
Okay. What is the relationship between yoga and mindfulness? Are yoga and mindfulness practiced together?
Yoga and mindfulness can be melded together, and then we get mindful movement. And they're not always practiced together, but when we bring them in, it's a perfect marriage for someone who has MS, because they become more aware of their body, they become more friends with their body, and there's this connection between the mind and the body.
What are some steps to begin a mindfulness meditation practice?
So there is wonderful applications that you can put on your phone, such as the Insight Timer. I know some people like Headspace. And these timers, or you can just set a regular timer and say you want to sit for 3 or 5 minutes and put that on. There are guided meditations within these, and you can select a person's voice perhaps if you like. I like to choose ones that are mindfulness. And so there's different choices by category, and that's a great place to start.
What is mindfulness-based stress reduction, or Mbsr?
So mindfulness-based stress reduction is a formal program. It's 8 weeks, and it was designed at the University of Massachusetts Medical Center by John Kabat-Zinn. What's beautiful about this 8-week session is that it's studied. It is the most studied type of meditation out there. And what they find is after the 8 weeks, the students of the program are more likely to integrate it into their daily life. There's tremendous growth that happens during that 8-week process.
Where can someone interested in beginning a meditation practice find resources online?
One of the best places for a new practitioner is there's a book out called the Mindfulness Workbook by Bob Stahl, and so it gives beautiful questions and some guided meditations. That would be one place to look.
Can you share with us more about your book and where we can find it?
So my students asked me to develop a book so that they could practice yoga at home, because often you forget what the poses are and then they forget what the directions are. So we designed a book with hundreds of photos and very simple directions, and that is one way. So they can cross-reference that with videos that we've developed. They're actually in sequences in the back of the book. So they can cross-reference. Some people learn better by video, some by book. But I highly recommend that the videos were designed to go with the book.
And what is the name of your book?
Adaptive Yoga Moves Anybody.
Okay, and it is available through?
It's available on my website at yogamovesms.org, and it's also available on Amazon.
Okay, everybody, and we're back, and I am now reminded to be more relaxed and more mindful. Thank you, Mindy. Are you there, Mindy, joining us now?
I am. I'm right here, excited to be here with you.
Wonderful. Welcome. Welcome to MS Neuro TV, and I'm so happy that you're joining us this evening.
I'm really excited after I looked at the video.
Yeah, I know.
It was good to see you, and it's one of my favorite topics.
Oh, great. Yeah, no, it's one of mine as well, and I know how important it is. And we have a lot of questions coming in, but everyone that's on the line, and we had a lot of people, again, register. This is a very interesting topic, and I know it's a topic that everyone wants to learn about. So everyone that's on the line, please feel free to type in your questions in the question box for Mindy, and I will relay them to her. You can do that now, and you can do it by clicking that orange button. If you don't see it, it should become available to you. So I'm going to start, everyone. Mindy, I'll start asking. I have somebody on the line, Elizabeth, who's asking, after taking a face-to-face yoga class, I feel as if I can walk normally, but I am unable to replicate that feeling via an assorted home video yoga practice. Do you have any thoughts on why there would be that difference for her?
Sure. Well, there's a few different reasons. One would be how many times a week we practice. Because the more we practice, the more we can replicate this feeling. And so that would be number one. And then a video there's a difference between personal interaction in a class and where a teacher is dedicating to the class, the sequencing in the class and the theme of the class to the people in the room, the students in the room. So that's going to be different than a video that's pre-prepared.
Okay.
But having said that, it's wonderful to have the video as a resource, and the more that you practice in a classroom and make the practice your own, you will start to realize over time what it is that's helping you to feel that way both in the practice in the studio and at home. So it takes a while. It's not something that comes right away. And then the hope is, the intention would be that you would be able to pick the poses and design your own sequence for your body, knowing what helps you feel better. But it takes some time to take the class and recognize, oh, when I do this stretch, that really helps me be able to lift my foot. Or to sleep better, or to get up from a chair and sit back down easier, whatever the movement may be, to reach for something in the cabinet. We start to notice what it is during class that perhaps is helping. And then sometimes we don't notice, but it just comes organically from the practice. So the more you practice, do not get discouraged. It's very, very encouraging. I salute you for actually practicing at home, because that takes a strong motivation to do it by yourself at home.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Thank you for your answer. And I have someone also asking, how can they find a person who teaches yoga classes specifically for MS patients?
So there are some resources that you can go to. One of them would be to look at Yoga Alliance and look for teachers in your area. You could also look up studios in your area to see if they offer adaptive yoga. It may not be specifically for MS. The MS Foundation has a list of wellness programs that they sponsor. That may be one way to do it as well. People find me by Googling and looking for yoga in Michigan, adaptive yoga in Michigan, for MS. And so there's a few different ways you can go about it. I agree it's not the easiest thing, but I would start with even looking at some of the studios, and you could even call some of the studios and ask them if they're familiar with people who teach either chair yoga or adaptive yoga.
Okay, great. Thanks, Mindy. I have another question for you. In our interview, you mentioned learning how to respond rather than react. And we're wondering how you could give us an example of this in real life.
So, first of all, learning this practice of responding rather than reacting that causes your nervous system. Often if something scares us, we're fearful of it. It happens without our expectation. We have a natural reaction to it. But with the practice of mindfulness, the idea is that we would respond in a more positive way for both ourselves and the people that we're responding or interacting with. For instance, if one of my kids says something that just kind of off the cuff that kind of throws me into a situation where I might not have the most positive reaction, I use the practice of breathing to bring myself back to my center. It's a practice. You know, you learn something new in the mail. It comes, you know, and you're like, oh, gee, I didn't know, I wasn't planning for this. So, okay, stop, ground myself, breathe, and instead of letting the nervous system get in a hyper inflated state of anxiety. Does that make sense to you?
That does.
It's a lot easier said than done, but that is the hope, that we get better at this. And what I noticed from my own practice is I just am a little bit more reflective before responding, that there's this stop and think before, and there's actually an acronym which is called STOP. So S for stop, T for take a breath, O for observe, and P for proceed. And a lot of people like to use that acronym. So you notice something's happening to you that kind of gets you in a frazzled way, to get you to stop for a moment, take a pause, breathe, look at what's going on here. So literally stop in your tracks, take that breath, reflect on what's going on, and then make a decision to proceed. Then we're more likely to respond rather than react without really thinking about it.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. Wrote that one down. We could use that every day. Thank you. And I'm going to ask you, there's a question about meditation, and can you only meditate while you're in a chair or laying down rather than cross-legged on the floor?
The answer is absolutely. You can meditate standing, believe it or not, seated in a chair, seated on your favorite chair. You could go down on a yoga mat or on a pillow or a zafu on the earth, but that's not often the practice for what we call householders. Householders means you and me. We're not living in a cave somewhere. And so we find a place that's comfortable that will support our posture. Now, if you're really tired, the best option may be lying down. Just know that when we lie down, we might fall asleep. We're more apt to fall asleep. So as long as you can just accept that the body's tired and it's naturally going to a relaxed state, that's okay. Just know that's okay, and that it's more apt to happen. If the intention is to stay awake, I recommend sitting up straight in what we call we're in an alert state, right? We're in with a tall spine as opposed to our soft, comfy couch that we soak down in.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. And what about music or using music during meditation? Is that recommended?
For different types of meditation, there may be music. There also may be a guided meditation that has music in the background. For traditional mindfulness, we are not necessarily using music, but there is a practice in mindfulness where you're listening to sound. And I think that could be an opportunity to really focus in on the music or the background, the noises in the room. Sometimes people like that as opposed to the breath or in addition to the breath. For some people, focusing on sound is an opportunity for more ease than actually focusing on the breath. So I encourage playing around with that. For traditional mindfulness, though, we are not listening to music, but that doesn't make it wrong.
Okay, thank you. And are there different types of meditation practice for morning versus an evening time meditation?
It's all about the intention. In the morning, I might say to myself, okay, I need to nourish myself. So my meditation might be more about focusing on the breath and perhaps an intention of what I might, some type of self-care I might do for myself, or just really paying attention to what does my body want from me at this moment. Sometimes the intention may be, I just want to be present right here. Then that might be more of a breathing meditation. If in focusing on awareness of the breath, especially beginners like to do that. There are what's called loving compassion meditations, and those are learning to cultivate compassion not only for ourselves but others. It could be somebody that is a relative, it could be a friend, it could be community-wide, but we're developing compassion. So the time of day does, maybe you want to go to sleep with that idea that, you're opening up your heart and you want more of a loving meditation. In the morning, you want one more that helps ground you and helps you to be more focused. So I would go back to intention about what it is you would like to, I hate to use the word achieve in meditation because it's really more of a practice. What would you like to practice? We're not really going for goals in meditation because it's a moving journey over time. It's not something we evaluate at the end.
Okay.
We don't say I have a good meditation or a bad meditation. Whatever the meditation is, it is, and we accept it for that.
I love that. Thank you, Mindy. That's great. Someone is saying that they experience restlessness or sometimes discomfort during meditation. Any recommendations for that?
Well, the first thing I want to say is restlessness is part of the process.
Okay.
Learning to sit and meditate and be with ourselves. The concepts are really simple, but this is tough stuff. So I encourage patience, and it is okay to move. I think people believe that they're supposed to sit and not move at all. But the truth is you can move, but be mindful about it. For instance, my right leg, it feels like it's falling asleep. I think I'll move my right leg. There's an active decision made to move the body part as opposed to just moving about it. It's more like that responding versus reacting. Oh, I'm so uncomfortable. I'm just going to stand up. I'm done with this meditation. What can I do to help myself be more comfortable? It's okay to add a pillow, add a blanket, stand up, and then sit back down again. If there's restlessness, I would also encourage shortening the meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Something that's more achievable, such as maybe 2-3 minutes. And then when 2 or 3 minutes seems like you can do it with ease, increase it a few more minutes and see how that goes. And build up to a 20-minute interval.
Okay, that's great advice. Thank you, Mindy. I'm going to ask you one last question. And again, if anybody has additional questions, please feel free to send them. And I will definitely be sending them over to Mindy. But Mindy, how can we find out more resources on mindfulness books, recordings, mindfulness-based stress reduction? Any recommendations for our audience?
So my favorite, and I did mention it in the video, is the Insight Timer. The Insight Timer has some guided meditations on it, and so you can choose what you want, and whether you like a man's voice or a female's voice. And you can play around and get a taste of some different people. Then it also has on there a timer, so that, let's say you need to stop meditating in 5 or 10 or 20 minutes, you can set the time for that. You can also set the type of bell you want. That particular application was designed for mindfulness. So it's a really nice one to go to.
Oh, great.
If you're looking to read or listen to recordings, like for instance by John Kabat-Zinn or Bob Stahl is another great one. I mentioned that book, the Mindfulness Workbook. It comes with a CD. So that if you still have a CD player, I don't know how they changed that, then you could listen to that. Plus, the book has some great exercises and suggestions that are simple if you decide to do it on your own rather than listen to a recording. John Kabat-Zinn and several other mindfulness instructors have recordings that are available through the Insight Timer. And if you Google them, there's several YouTubes as well. Another favorite of mine is Tara Brach. She's fantastic and has some really beautiful recordings. If you go on her website, there's literally hundreds of different meditations on there. There's so many resources.
Mindy, can you repeat it? Sarah?
It's Tara, T, like in Tom, A-R-A, Brach, B-R-A-C-H.
Oh, thank you. Okay, great. Because I know you have a very captivated audience here. We've got a lot of people on the line, and I know that they're going to have questions about these resources. They sound terrific. And we really want to thank you so much, Mindy, for sharing such valuable and important information with us. You're helping this community reach our wellness goals and just to feel better. And we are really, really grateful. So thank you.
You know, I am pleased to be here, and it's one of my favorite things to share mindfulness and meditation and yoga with others, because I've gained so much benefit from it, and I've seen so many others gain benefit from it. And it's just a beautiful way to take care of ourselves. It really is an act of self-love and self-care and contributing to our own wellness.
Well, I'm so glad that you could share this with us, and you're doing such important work. So we hope to speak with you soon again.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Absolutely. And just in closing, again, I'd like to thank all of you. We would really appreciate it if you could complete the 1-minute survey that will appear after this webinar is finished. Your feedback is the most important thing to us. We read every single comment, we read every single survey, and we want to know what you're interested in, and we customize these for you. So anything that you want to share with me or with Damien and with our team, we would love to hear it. So please, if you could fill that out, I look forward to reading those. Now that you all are registered to MS Neuro TV, you're going to receive your invite every month. We do this on the first Tuesday of every month. We have a special presenter, and we have a talk like this, and we're going to be mixing it up a little bit. Hopefully we'll have video by next month for you, but next month we're going to have our special guest, MS nurse Sherry Binns. Sherry Binns is a MS certified nurse, and she's also somebody living with multiple sclerosis, and she's going to be speaking with us about clinical studies and research in MS, and why it's important to be aware of what's going on in clinical studies and research. And she's going to be giving us some great updates as well. So that will be next February 4th on Tuesday night, same like tonight, and we'll be sending you reminders. And all of these MS Neuro TV webinars are recorded, and you can find them on the MS Views and News YouTube learning channel. This one will be published within the next couple of weeks. You can subscribe to our channel and turn on the notifications and get alerts every time we create a new one, so you don't miss anything, and you can always go back and reference it. And please follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter. We'd love to have you join this community, and we're so glad that you're here. We'd also, again, like to thank Sanofi Genzyme. We'd like to thank Novartis and Celgene and viewers like you. And I'd like to say goodnight to all of you. And again, thank you for joining. And Damien, if you'd like to have some closing remarks.
If anything, I would say that a part of this MS thing that is one of the silver linings to this terrible, terrible thing that we deal with is the community, the people in it, the minds in it, the doctors, the other people with the disease, the friendships that you make, the community that you're building, Jen, that we're building here with MS Views and News. That's one of the silver linings on this dark, dark cloud. So
Yeah.
thank you guys for showing up today and being a part of that community and being an active part of that community. And let's keep that going. So thank you and see you some other time.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Good night.